Welcome to the Tell Her podcast, a place where we share stories from extraordinary, ordinary women, delve into what it's really like behind closed doors of dealing with life's ups and downs, and how women get the courage and push through and get up every day to carry on with our ordinary life while doing extraordinary things. I'm your host, Sharni Knighton, and I cannot wait for you to meet some of the incredible women that I get to meet through my work as a hair loss specialist.
One of the things that I notice is that if somebody does come at the beginning of their journey, they almost feel guilty and they'll say, oh, I know it's not as bad as everybody else's, but I try and explain to them that it's not about where they are on the journey, it's about how it's affecting them mentally. And that if they're only shedding a little bit in the beginning, but they know a difference in their hair, it's okay to seek help at that point, and that might actually be their saviour. And especially with like frontal fibrosing alopecia, people wait quite a long time because it is such a slow process. And I know that there's not really that much that we can do out there for that, but I think the mental health side of it, the answers would be enough. So what would you say would be some red flags?
We both said this earlier on,
Yeah.
that we've got like a nice little tuft of hair growing on the top of our head because we both feel like we've shed. I know what mine is. I know my causative factor.
Yeah.
But literally, I had a good old look at my scalp when it started.
Yeah.
But I know what caused it.
Yeah.
So if you have something that is not normal, find normal for you.
Yeah.
Ask somebody. So for us as trichologists, some people come to us and they go, I'm losing hair, it's not at my normal rate, and it's been going on for if it's going on for more than 2 to 3 weeks, then I would ask for a little bit of help from somebody.
Okay.
Not saying, sorry, I'm doing exactly the same as you, choking on my own voice, but literally, because if it's out of the ordinary for you, seek help.
Yes.
Because the longer you leave something, the harder it is to treat. Yeah. So, because say, for instance, if we go to one of the most simplest forms of hair loss, which is telogen effluvium, which is what mine is. I don't know what yours is, but I know what mine is.
For anyone that doesn't know what that is.
Telogen effluvium. It's where we shed hairs in a loss phase sooner than they should have been lost. And they tend to come out maybe not all at the same time, but something will affect us. So it will be something like, we call it post-febrile. So after a temperature, postpartum hair loss is classed as telogen effluvium. We have things like, even down to things like shock. So I've had people come to me who've had a car accident. 3 months later, 30% of the hair starts coming out. And it often, with telogen effluvium, what happens is the initial insult or the cause of the actual hair loss, it doesn't come out on that day.
Yes.
It actually, and every single one of us is very unique. So for some people, it can be a couple of months after, because you've got to remember that hair is encapsulated in a nice little sort of sticky little residue inside of your scalp growing happily. It gets a shock. It stops feeding it. That hair then sheds, which is the effluvium. So basically the hair will then start to come out of the hair canal and sort of shed as if a hair would naturally do in its own growth cycle. But it's some of these are happening all at the same time.
Does that mean that because like from my hairdresser brain, when one's coming out, you've got one waiting?
Yes.
So if it's come out too early, this one that waiting is not ready to come.
Oh, well, everybody's very unique in that respect.
Yeah.
So normally there is. Yeah. So should we say normal telogen effluvium? She says with little. There is normally a hair waiting to sort of like, because the hair naturally, cellularly wants to turn over.
Yeah.
Do you know that cell wants to continue to turn over, so a new one will grow behind it.
Yeah.
So, but it has a causative factor. Okay. So basically, the effluvium of those telogen hairs, or telogen hairs, whatever you want to call them, is the telogen is the loss phase of the hair.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's actually something that insults the actual growth of that normal anagen hair, the growing hair, makes it shed earlier. Yeah. So we need to find that causative factor, and that's why early intervention is better, because if we can find it, we can know whether it will self-correct.
Yes.
Or if we can't find it, so an idiopathic, so something that we can't actually sort of lay our hands on, we can actually test, and then we can sort of say, right, we'll send you to the GP, or we'll do this privately, you know, whichever way, depending on what the effects are, and if they've got any other co-symptoms, we will sort of test to see if we can find it. Then we can actually treat the underlying cause of the telogen effluvium. If it lasts for longer than 6 months, it's classed as chronic telogen effluvium. And chronic telogen effluvium has more of a lasting effect on people, because it keeps cycling that hair, and and it's just, but actually it's and I have some patients that come to me and we never really actually quite get why. But there is treatments out there that we can use to hold that hair in that growth phase and prevent this, even if, which is very rare, but we do find somebody that actually we're like, well, we've been treating it with this, and actually it's not helping, I say, after a year to 18 months, you know, kind of thing. So there's lots of things you can do, but early intervention is key. Important. It's really key.
I tend to get a lot of clients with that who've just going through menopause or perimenopausal. And I usually refer into you. And then what I'll usually do with them is give them like a 12-month period. And I'm like, let's do what we're going to do for 12 months alongside the trichologist, make sure that I'm not going to affect what you're doing. And a lot of time they can recover.
Some people would just have they'd be thinking pound signs. I can actually, because this patient at this minute is very vulnerable, because at that point they are very vulnerable. You could sell them the world and they will buy into it.
It's like fake promises, and it's all you're going to do is cause mental health issues in future.
And lasting damage even, because if that telogen effluvium isn't telogen effluvium, and it's just that it looks like that to start with, and you go and put a system on that, fix that over their hair for 6 weeks, they take that off in 6 weeks, and actually it was diffuse alopecia areata, say, then we've got a totally different ball game, and we've left it for 6 weeks.
Yeah, and one of my fears is that the hair's trying to tell us something else.
Yes, exactly.
So I'm like, because I have a lot of clients that come in and they're going through treatments, or they have other immune issues and stuff, if somebody comes in that's new and they've got no diagnosis and they don't know what's going on, I'm always like, what I don't want to be doing is seeing this client for a year and then we find out that there's something seriously wrong and that something's failing. I don't know if your kidneys and your livers and stuff would have that effect, but I would feel terribly guilty if the hair loss was the first sign. And we've masked it. It is
always the first sign. Your hair's a Z organ, it's fed last. So within your sort of your system, your whole body system, your hair is a Z organ. It's not needed. So we don't need to keep ourselves warm like we did, you know, sort of like in...
You need to tell my tune that.
But we don't. So really your body, if your body, say for instance, you've got, I don't know, like inflammation somewhere. So say for instance, there's a problem with, like you just said about kidneys. So if you've got an inflammatory kidney disorder or something like that, your body will send the energy. It's intelligent enough to send the energy to that to fix it. But what it will do is stop feeding the things it doesn't need. Skin, hair, nails, and eyesight as well. Do you know, we have a lot of people with eye, do you know, sort of like changes, because it is crazy, unnecessary. Do you know, for our bodies to be able to function, your body knows how to shut itself down well. It's like it's a really good computer. So hair is always an initial factor. Not with everybody though. So like for me, hair has never been an initial factor for me, which is
better to be safe than sorry though, isn't it? So like I don't want to scare anybody, but I want to go into something knowing that I'm doing the right thing for them and protecting their health and, like say, the mental health and stuff like that. And then they know exactly what they're going into. Plus, I think if you don't, even if the client, I think, says that, oh, no, it's fine, I've had it forever, they will have in the back of the mind, I wonder if it's that, and that will affect them. And then that is the stress of not knowing why they've got this hair loss. So I just think, see it as a first sign for anything, whether that is stress or, like say, something wrong with the body. The last thing I would ever want to do is take that vulnerable person, sell them a system, a wig or anything else without them knowing their why. Do no harm. And at the end of the day, like even as a business, so at the end of the day, like you say, we have to speak about like the investment, the costs and stuff like that. As a business, I want to work with clients who I can take care of right through their journey, whether that's like I call it a growth plan. So if I know someone's only going to be with me for 12 months, like I know that I can take care of them. We're going to have this nice journey together. I can support them. If I take them on and then we're all over and we're seeing damage and we don't know what we're doing, that is not a nice business experience either.
No.
It's not a nice experience for the client. It's not nice for me. And financially, it'll cost more money because we'll have to correct things and do all of that stuff. And it just doesn't make sense to me to not do that process at the beginning and feed into a specialist.
Yeah.
And I think people need to see the bigger picture. I think clients having the confidence to seek help, but stylists having the confidence to seek help. We just need to create that clear path for everybody and work together.